on. Hello. Oh, there we are. Okay. It would help if your preacher/computer technician would set the settings correct. Thank you. All right.
Microsoft has a mind of its own.
Yes, it does. All righty. Let's see here.
That's a gift in itself, technology.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some
people.
of us don't have it.
Yeah. So I'll give a 10-second thing to that. People often think that technology is a science. I would argue it's an art. And the reason why I would say that is because you can read every book in the world. You can go to school for it. If you don't do it day in and day out, you won't get it.
It's moved on.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing, too. That's why I still read every white paper. That's why I still work on your all's computers when you ask me to, because I don't want to lose those skills. Okay? That's necessary. Like, you can't be in the technology field and not do it. It won't work. Yeah, that's why I still do it. All right. Organizing. This is the person who's good at making things happen in a group. And I mean, like, you can organize events. You can put together a sheet that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for other people to follow. I am good at making those lists for me. I am bad at making those lists for others. And so I'm very open about this with everybody I work with, because do not make me the person that's gonna make the whole thing flow. That is a terrible idea. If you're a bride and you say, hey, I need somebody to organize my wedding, that is not me. I will officiate your wedding. I will not organize it. The 2 or 3 times I tried to do that, I messed up somebody's wedding, and brides do not like that.
No.
So I learned, not me, not my gift. I can organize my own life, but I cannot organize yours or a group. That's why you always see an entourage of people around me when it comes to anything I'm a part of, because I am incapable of doing this. My wife and I were watching a documentary of a famous musician yesterday, and I paused it and I said, I am my mother in male form, except for my mother is an amazing musician, and I have zero of her talent. My friends, I have zero gift in this area. And by the way, as an adult, I try to take piano lessons. I've tried to learn music. It might as well be magic to me. I have no sense of it at all. You might look at one of these gifts and be like, I couldn't do that with a gun to my head. This is mine. Okay? Now, here's the problem. We can get really frustrated with people who do not share our gift or have zero ability to work within our gift. Because we're like, it's not hard. This is what I do every day. Come on, you just do and it works. Okay? It took me 2 years to learn how to play Jesus Love Me on the piano. 2 years, that's not an exaggeration. I did it once in front of this church and I forgot about it because it was so difficult. You asked me to build a global positioning satellite network. Gotcha! No problem. I've actually done it. There's a program at the courthouse that reads information from a satellite and translates into where they've dropped gravel in the county. And I've only had to fix it one time in 11 years. I can do that. You ask me to organize an event, it's going to go disastrous. So, hope we all understand. And we all have mercy with each other on the things the other person is just not good at. All right, speaking of mercy, the last one is mercy. This is the person that can give grace when everybody else is sick of that person. When everybody else has given up, and you're the one person left that will still believe in that person. The reason I'm in front of you today and I do what I do is because there were people in my life like this. Now, you may look at a person like this and be like, you need to give up too. That person's worthless. We've given him every chance there is. Don't do that. Okay? Because other people see something that we don't. And when I was a teenager, I had people in my life who showed me mercy when everybody else gave up. And so I want you to realize something too. The further apart these gifts are on this list from each other, the more likely they are to conflict. Do you think the hammer and the mercy shower are going to go do calling together? Nope. So keep that in mind, that we need to appreciate each other and also realize there are some inherent difficulties in this list. Appreciate each other. Love each other. All right. So everyone has at least 2 or more. You see the chart below that, right in the middle of the page there? I don't know if you have a pen or not, but if you do, or you just want to make a thought in your mind, I want you to think of at least one of these gifts that applies to you. We talked about all of them. At least one does. Nobody's a 0. Okay? Even my dog has a gift, encouragement. Okay? Everybody has a gift. So take a moment and write down at least one. Now, you can have more than one. Like I put myself in the teaching and mercy showing category, which is why sometimes I conflict with the hammers, by the way. If that makes sense.
You do
Okay?
that very well.
Thank you. I'm also a diplomat by nature. That's another thing a mercy shower is. You know, I'm always trying to make peace whenever possible.
I feel like my 2 are on the opposite ends of the spectrum
Okay, and what's that?
because I'm blunt and to the point,
Yeah.
and I don't care if I hurt your feelings on it. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Okay.
But also at the same time, because of my past and my mistakes, I know there's mercy in me there.
Okay.
I know I got to be patient.
So the conflict is
willing.
probably within yourself then.
A lot of times, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And that's good to recognize. Good. Okay. So Tyler's telling us a couple of things about himself. Anybody else want to share? I'd love to go around the room, but I know some of you hate to speak in public, so I won't do that to you. Anybody else want to share what a gift of yours might be, or a gift of somebody else you know might be? Make sure it's a positive compliment, please. Thank you. We're having audio problems out there. Bob?
Something that I work at very hard to try to encourage others.
I agree with that.
And I believe, and Jeanette can attest to this, but at home I pray a lot. Not only for others, especially when we have an incoming something of someone that needs prayer.
Mm-hmm.
We stop right then and there and we pray. So it's probably both Jeanette and I's gift
Yeah.
that we use.
In fact, if you look down right below the chart, current ministries at Calio, the first thing I listed is prayer. Yeah, because we need people who do that, so thank you. Very good. Thank you, Bob. Anybody else want to share? And you don't have to share about yourself. You can look at your neighbor and be like, hey, they're really good at this.
I think we got several people in the church very good at organizing.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what the project, very good. And typically it's getting the right people on, say, a committee, for example.
Yes.
Getting the right people, and they'll make you look better than you really are.
I've often told people that Candy and Mickey are my brain. I don't do anything without them on a team with me because otherwise no thought has been given to what is occurring. So, yes, that is very true. I surround myself with organizers because I know how deficient I am in that category. In fact, Mickey, God bless Mickey, I'll get a message from him. Josh, this is the 4th email. Have you done this yet? Okay, got to get that done. All right. That's good. Yep. Fair.
Josh, would you say that at different points in our life, we can have some
Yeah.
of these gifts,
Sure. People grow and change. Yeah.
or like especially how I've become here lately, some of these gifts have been, they're not shown as much.
Well, a good example of that is really the Apostle Paul. He was not a mercy shower in the beginning, but by the end of his ministry, he clearly was. He was much more a hammer in the beginning and then became more of a mallet towards the end. Mallet still strikes, but, maybe doesn't strike as hard. So, yeah, that's absolutely true. That's a good thought. All right, need more input. I know some of you don't mind. Jeanette?
I'm a giver.
Okay.
I bake cookies for sick people
Yep.
and my neighbors and my friends and
Anybody you can think of?
yeah.
Yes. That's awesome. Very good. Candy?
Well, I just want to share that I recognize growing up, I was mostly, my dad was in the military.
Mhm.
So you kind of emulate what you're raised with.
Yes.
But I'm the oldest of 5. Anyway, my point of view on everything was I was a hammer.
Yep.
And it took a long time to learn that about myself, and very blunt and direct to the point. But whenever I try to soften it, I've really had to work at this because it's not easy. But you save a lot of time when you're direct. Because when I would try to soften it, people look at me like, what are you talking about?
And I like how you brought that up, okay? Don't miss this. She said you save time when you're blunt. That's true,
But you break things.
but you break things. So is there a positive and negative to all things? Yes. That's the thing I don't like, and I'm not going to bring up any particular politician. I would never do that. But politicians are fantastic at telling you their point of view and why it's great. They are terrible at telling you the obvious downsides. And there are downsides to everything. Now, maybe the trade-off's worth it. I'm not arguing that. But everything has positives and negatives. I tried to nail this into my kids growing up. Don't become a sycophant. Don't believe in something without also understanding that there are negatives. There's always negatives. Maybe they're small. Maybe the positives outweigh the negatives. And that's good. That's what we want to be at. But don't ever buy that an idea is perfect.
Don't park your brain.
Yes, don't do that. Life is just not that simple. As much as we want it to be, it's just not that simple. Anybody else? Your gift or somebody you know? By the way, pointing out somebody's gift is an encouragement. That's a positive thing to do.
Rowena has a card ministry
Yes.
that affects almost everybody. And
Yes.
she does
That's a
very
big
good job
encouragement. I
with
keep
it.
all those cards.
Yeah.
Yep. Also, I want to comment on Candy here again a moment. I often go to you when I need a blunt opinion.
Mhm.
And you know that. Because I know you'll tell me the truth without, and I need that sometimes, because sometimes as a diplomat, you don't know sometimes if you're being too conciliatory. So that's good. We need those kinds of people. Yeah. Karen, do you have a thought? Oh,
No.
You had your hand kind of up. Well, Karen's definitely a server.
I tried.
I mean, you're one of the reasons why I look like this. So I appreciate that. I do.
You know, since I stopped doing Tuesdays, I've started to lose a little
So
weight.
yeah.
I gotta go back to Tuesday, you know, and get some food.
I will always be entertained by the fact that anybody looks at the preacher of this church and says, that guy needs more to eat. But it keeps happening. So, all right. Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about the current ministries. Look at letter C on your sheet there, about halfway down. Now, these are a list of the current ministries at Callio. I tried to be comprehensive. I may have left something out, and if I did, please understand I wasn't trying to dismiss you or anything like that. So we'll just fill it in if I did. I took this from our book that we're working on right now, a members book. So we're getting close to publishing that. I've got one last revision for you and me to share.
I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, so glad we had that discussion. Okay, good. Okay. So look at this list, and some of you are already involved in some of these things, but there may be something here that you weren't even aware existed that you might be good at. So I'm just going to read them aloud. The first is prayer. We have a prayer chain here at this church. We have people that always want to be informed when there's a prayer request. We do have the text message system, okay, and that has largely alleviated the need for a phone chain, and phone chains rarely work anyway, so the text message and Facebook system has worked very well. But still, there are people I know for a fact that when they get that text message or prayer, they're going to put it on their list, and I'm grateful for that. Greeters, these are the people that greet people that come in the door on Sunday mornings. Virgil is excellent at recruiting people to do that. If you haven't done that before, that's a great way to meet a lot of people in a short period of time. So, and I would say that greeting works best two people. Don't try to do it by yourself, because there's you're holding bulletins, you're shaking hands. There can be multiple people coming in the door at once. It's best done in pairs. Communion preparation. This is a purely background task that is essential. One of the beautiful things about communion preparation is you can come in and do it any time during the week. We'll get you access to the building. So if that's something you'd be willing to do, sign up to do that. Preaching, if you're a guy and you are interested in preaching, come talk to me. We have a process for that, and if you can get to the point where you're capable of delivering a full-length message that would be a positive thing for the congregation to hear, I'd like to help you develop that and make that happen. Teaching, same thing. If you're a guy, and now I'm teaching in terms of like adults, but teaching can also be for ladies in a variety of categories. So, if that's something you're interested, let me know. That's why we have both preacher boys and teacher girls. We worship. This is the toddlers. Now, this is one we often struggle to get enough people to do. We usually can get enough people to look after babies. It's after they become toddlers that they're not so interested.
Herding cats.
Yes. Yes. Now, here's the good news, in case any of you aren't aware. We now have this isolated area for the toddlers on the other side of the building in the basement. So they can be as loud and as crazy as they need to be. And you don't have to worry.
Built-in bathroom.
With a built-in bathroom. And so it's far better than it used to be.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah. So if you've been worried about serving in the past, maybe you'd be less concerned now. So we want to encourage people to please help out with We Worship. Also, We Worship happens both during Sunday school and during service. So that's important. It's a very important ministry, especially for young families. You can't get young families in the door if they don't have anywhere to put their kids. Nursery, that's of course babies. Again, don't usually struggle too much to have people in there, but right now we could use a couple more people. Preacher boys, thankfully right now I've got plenty of help, which is awesome. There were times in the past it was just me. And now I've got 4 or 5 volunteers, which is plenty, and that's great. And that's just people attending class. I've got a lot more people that help out with the contest and Kaimichi and just other things in the background. So grateful for that. Girls groups, we have both a younger girls and an older girls group. We could actually use more sponsors for that. And a sponsor is just somebody who just sits in the room and helps with crowd control. We're not asking you to teach or be prepared. You show up and you just interact with the girls. And if you're curious what interacting with teenage girls is like, it's a little bit chaotic, but it's fine. Okay? It's fine. Just come and try. And here's the deal. Don't try to be cool. Don't try to fit in. Be you. Okay? Kids can smell a phony from a mile away. All right? If you're my age, you're 43, and you show up to youth group and you try to act like you're all Gen Z, it's not going to work. I'm an obvious dork. So I should be that. And if I am, the kids accept me just fine. So just be yourself, and the kids will be fine with you. Okay? In fact, they might be kind of amazed that there's an adult who is a dork who wants to hang out with them. And that's cool. Okay? All right. Youth sponsor, this is the same thing, but you come to youth group. You just hang out with the kids. Music, this is the music ministry. You hear them out there practicing. Melinda and Melanie head that up. So if you have any musical talent, you're interested in participating in the praise team, please do so. This is an area you will never see me volunteer in. You could hold a gun to my head and I'd be like, well, I believe in Jesus. Fire away. And here's the deal. I'm actually willing. I would do it. People's ears would bleed. There would be people falling over in the pews from pain. But I'm willing. I've done it. I don't know why. I don't know. I understand that some people just, the embarrassment or whatever it is. I guess I just was not born with that gene. I've never understood why people get embarrassed. I just don't get embarrassed. Bob?
Question. How would you translate dork biblically? Serious. I'm being serious. Okay.
Not Titus. He was one of those like Marine type guys. I'm not a Marine.
If you're speaking to a kid, for instance, like you're talking about,
yeah,
how would you translate dork? Now I know this generation and even our generation what a dork is, but if they're really young,
you know what? To be practical, to answer your question practically and realistically, which I know Bob's asking me to do, I'm the adult sponsor who doesn't care about sports. And you know what? There's adult sponsors who do, and there's kids who love sports, and we need those. We need the kids and we need those adults. But I've been to youth groups where there are no adult sponsors who don't care about sports. And so all the nerds and dorks don't feel like they belong. Like if you don't play basketball, you don't belong in our youth group. If you're a third grader and you want to talk about Pokemon, I don't know anything about it, but I'll listen to you. Okay? I don't care. Whatever strange interest you have, I have strange interests, so that's fine. Yeah, you got to have both types of youth sponsors. So that's a dork. Good question. Good question. Let's see. We're pretty much out of time here, but special programs, that'd be like plays, things like that. We usually struggle to get people who really want to do that because that's hard. It's hard. It's like herding cats. But you notice that we do have plays on a pretty regular basis, and every time it works out in the end. I know people are scared to do it because they think it'll be a disaster. We've never had a disaster. It always works out in the end. Okay? That's why I actually don't fear about working with youth. I know it's chaotic. The whole process is like making sausage, but in the end, it's good. Okay? It's fine. I don't worry about it in the end. And you know what? If a kid says something funny on stage, you just laugh and move on. It's fine. All right? I don't know why we need to be embarrassed about that. Okay, so I'll leave the rest for you all to think about, talk about, consider. But if these are things that you either are willing to do or you know somebody who might be, encourage them to do so. Because it's a necessary function of the church. You may not realize that so much goes on here, but it does. There's a lot that goes on. All right. John Cook, would you pray us out?
Father, thank you for the opportunity to gather together here and learn from your word. Please help us to use our gifts in a way that glorifies you. We ask these things in Jesus' name.
Amen. All right. Have to drink.
Can you learn to farm in front of That's why you get your hands dirty.